Election Day is November 5th. Mail-in and early voting are already underway. And one race on the ballot in Cook County is Cook County State's Attorney. We're here in the studio with Eileen Burke, who's the Democratic candidate for Cook County State's Attorney. Now, Mr. Fioretti says the incumbent, Democrat Kim Foxx, is too lenient. He goes as far as to say that he'd do pretty much the opposite of what Foxx has done in all cases. How would you rate the last 8 years under Kim Foxx?
You know, I will tell you this. The state's attorney's office has 1,300 employees. We have 5 bureaus that cover everything from real estate tax to guardianship to criminal prosecution. There is not one unit of government in Cook County that does not touch on the state's attorney's office in some way, shape, or form. I'm not going to criticize anybody's ability to do that job. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to approach the job. And the way I'm going to approach the job is there are some significant things that Kim Foxx implemented that are positive.
Such as?
The restorative justice programs have been a seismic step forward. And I will tell you this, I've seen him work as a defense attorney. I've seen him work as a judge. The restorative justice, and people throw that term around a lot. So let me explain what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Restorative justice programs are for non-violent offenses, and they're geared for specific types of offenders. Those who are dealing with drug addiction, those who are dealing with mental illness, veterans, sex workers. And they are a collaborative approach with the judge, the defense attorney, and the prosecutor to figure out what does this person need to get back on track. I'm a big believer in these programs because I've seen them work. Their recidivism rates or the repeat offender rates are significantly less than all other felony courtrooms. They work. They get people back on track. So not only does that make us morally better as a society, but it's fiscally better. It costs a fraction to get someone in these programs than it does to incarcerate someone. So I'm a big believer in these programs. I want to double down on them and expand where we can expand.
If the incumbent Kim Foxx plans to limit prosecutions of gun cases connected to traffic stops. She says that she wants county prosecutors to reject gun and drug charges that come from police stops for minor offenses like expired plates or burnt out headlights. Your take on that?
So that contradicts decades of case law. The case law says that it's appropriate to stop for that. And, you know, I will tell you that if you cannot stop for those violations, that the likelihood of those violations will increase. That's kind of common sense. If the police can't stop you for it, why would anybody get a registration sticker? So I will follow the law, and the law says that's permissible to stop a vehicle for those types of thefts. If the allegation is that police are stopping the vehicle because it's a pretextual stop, the correct way to address that is file a motion and let's litigate that in court. And that's exactly what we'll do.
Do you think Kim Foxx's tenure damaged the relationship with police?
I don't know if it was Kim Foxx's tenure or if it was the trend in the entire country, that there was an anti-police sentiment. I think we can all acknowledge that. And I don't know that it had anything to do with her or if it was a nationwide trend.
Like things that she might have done or specific policies that were put in place?
You know, I can just tell you what I'm going to be doing, and we're going to work very well with the police. We're going to make sure that we have the best trained police officers and the best trained prosecutors. So I'm not going to weigh in on what Kim Foxx did one way or another.
If you're elected, how would your office work with Chicago police and other police departments in the county?
So we need to have a working relationship with the police department. They are our main, if not our sole witness on each and every case. We need to have a relationship of respect and trust between us. So I have spoken to Commander Snelling, and we have many different ideas on how we can knit back our relationship. But one of the major ideas that I want to implement quickly is I want to take brand new cadets out of the academy and partner them with brand new state's attorneys and put them in a 1-week class. And during that class, we're going to cover a different topic every single day that police officers are going to see out in the street. For example, like when you stop somebody, what are the parameters of the stop? What are you allowed? What does the Constitution say? What does the statute say? How is the case law interpreted? The extent of a search. When do you need a search warrant? Then the next day we're going to cover when do you have to Mirandize someone? What makes a good statement? What's a bad statement? What taints a statement? Then the next day is going to be how do you need to treat juveniles differently than adult offenders? What additional protections have to be in place? And then every single afternoon, we're going to have the brand new state's attorney put the brand new cadet on the stand and practice doing a direct exam or a cross exam. So my goal is twofold. Not only will we have the best trained state's attorneys on the law and the Constitution, but what if we had the best trained police on what the law says? That's a game change. And that's how we're going to address our relationship with the police.
Police accountability advocates argue that when an officer commits a crime, prosecutors face conflicts of interest because they routinely need cops to serve as witnesses, as you mentioned, and gather evidence in other criminal cases. Would you consider outsourcing the prosecution of police officer defendants to private law firms?
No. Nobody wants bad police officers, and nobody will get a free pass in the state's attorney's office. The law will be applied equally to everyone who comes in front of us, and every single state's attorney will understand that obligation and that role that we have.
So could holding officers accountable for criminal acts, like, for instance, lying on the stand, could that harm the relationship with cops?
No, I believe most police officers, the vast majority of police officers, are good police officers who want to do constitutional policing and help the community. None of us want the bad apples. None of us.
Earlier this month, Cook County prosecutors dropped their case against Alexander Villa. He was convicted in the 2011 murder of CPD officer Clifton Lewis. Now, the decision led a judge to throw out Villa's conviction and life sentence. That means all three men charged with Lewis's killing have had their cases dismissed, and no one's being held responsible for a cop's murder. Your thoughts on that case?
I'm not going to comment on any specific case because I am going to have to be reviewing the entire case and seeing what happened. So, but once again, Sasha, I will tell you that only the facts and the law will govern my decisions.
According to the Tribune last week, the city's largest police union, which is Chicago's Fraternal Order of Police, said that it would withdraw its endorsement of you if you don't commit to retrying Alexander Villa.
So,
your response?
I rejected their endorsement in the primary, so I'm not sure what threat that is, that they will withdraw a endorsement that I rejected.
Why did you reject it?
It's inappropriate for me to be accepting an endorsement from a union of witnesses that we will be putting on the stand. But I will say this, nobody will threaten me and tell me how to make charging decisions. I am not concerned in any way, shape, or form by the FOP's threat on that.
Would your office seek pretrial detention when the top charge is illegal gun possession?
If it's an assault weapon or a gun with a switch and an extended magazine, yes, we will. The law treats just possession of a handgun with no FOID card differently. It's a Class 4 felony. The law says it's not as serious. If it's an assault weapon, it's a Class 2 or a Class 3 felony. So the law says it's much more serious. So yes, we will be treating those quite differently.
And what if there are no aggravating factors or prior gun convictions?
It does not matter. If you are carrying an assault weapon, you are a danger to the public.
What will you do if the assault weapons ban is struck down?
Well, then we will follow the law. I will continue to follow the law. If the ban is struck down, then I will not have the ability to make that argument for detention because it's a lower class of felony.
Mr. Fioretti says that he will cooperate with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, to, quote, remove violent illegal alien criminals from our streets and neighborhoods. What's your response to that? And how would you characterize your approach to crimes that are committed by immigrants?
So my approach to crimes committed by immigrants are going to be the exact same approach I have for anybody who commits a crime. Anybody who commits a crime is going to be prosecuted. We have nothing to do with ICE. I'm not sure where he's getting this belief that we cooperate with ICE or don't cooperate with ICE. ICE deals with the Cook County Sheriff. The state's attorney's office doesn't have any role in that. And so anybody who commits a crime will be prosecuted. The other thing we have to look at is we have a large section of very vulnerable people who have been brought into this city. We will likely see more victimization of people. We're going to see an uptick in child sex trafficking, child labor laws, wage theft. Those are going to be crimes that we go after equally virulently to any other crime. It doesn't matter if your victim is a migrant or a natural-born citizen. It doesn't matter if your criminal is a migrant or a natural-born citizen. The law applies equally to all of us.
To that end, there's research from Northwestern University, the National Justice Institute, as well as other organizations, which shows that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than people born here in the U.S. Mr. Fioretti disputes those numbers. What's your response?
I would love to see those numbers. I am not concerned about an uptick in crime other than the state's attorney's office is woefully understaffed right now, and we need to get fully staffed. And we have been seeing a surge in crime, and that would be difficult in the best of circumstances, but it's very difficult when you're understaffed. So one of my main priorities is to make sure that we get our office fully staffed again quickly.
So one centerpiece of your campaign is something called the Choice Protection Unit. It aims to bolster reproductive rights. How would it work?
So the Choice Protection Unit I thought of it one night when I saw a statistic saying that we have had a 79% increase in people coming across the border into Illinois for reproductive rights in order to access abortion services. So with that increase, we will inevitably have an increase in people coming to Illinois to interfere with that right. So I started looking at what possible statutes would apply if somebody were coming here to interfere with that. And it ranges everything from picketing to noise violations to obstruction of roadways to stalking and terrorism. We've had clinics bombed in Danville and Peoria. It's not a question of if this will happen, it's a question of when it will happen, and we need to be ready for it. These aren't the kind of cases that can just land on your desk and you know what to do. So we are forming a Choice Protection Unit, which is going to be comprised of prosecutors from every different division in the office.
How many staffers or resources would you devote to the project?
I want somebody from each and every division. So from misdemeanors, from felony trials, we also have to have people in civil because we represent Cook County Hospital in all civil actions. And one of the techniques of the anti-choice movement right now is to sue providers for malpractice. We need to be ready for that. So it's going to be voluntary because I want people who have a fire in their belly to come into this unit. It's also going to work as a recruiting tool for state's attorneys because there's a lot of young people that want to get in on this fight. We need to make sure that we send a very loud and clear message. If you are coming here to Cook County to interfere, we will treat that very, very seriously, and we will have prosecutors who are ready to address those crimes. So our training is going to be every month we're going to get together and we're going to have prosecutors from other jurisdictions zoom in and talk to us about what legislation is effective there. What are the techniques that you are seeing there of people interfering with reproductive rights so that we will be ready for them, that we will know what legislation do we need in order to address this. What do we need to know are the tactics so we can be better prepared as prosecutors.
Bob Fioretti has suggested that abortion rights aren't within the purview of the Cook County State's Attorney. He told the Sun-Times that abortion isn't an issue in this race and added, quote, "Abortion's legal and it's never going to change in this state."
Well, I grew up with abortion being legal, and it absolutely was a belief that it would always be legal, and it sickens me to think that my daughters have less constitutional rights over what happens to their body than I do. So I don't think we can take it for granted, and I think we have to address a very real concern that people will be coming to Illinois and committing crimes. So anybody who says that it doesn't impact the state's attorney's office is just misinformed.
So in the primary, You pulled in less than a quarter of the votes of Black Chicagoans when you were running a close race against Clayton Harris III, but performed much more strongly in majority white, Asian, and Latino wards. This month, civil rights icon Jesse Jackson threw his support behind Mr. Fioretti. What is your message right now to Black residents of Cook County, especially those who did not support you back in March?
You know, we have been going all over the county. That has been very important to me, make sure that the community knows who I am. And with regard to Reverend Jackson, he and Bob Fioretti go back a very long time. He has supported him in every single election, including against Tony Preckwinkle. I would expect old friends to support each other. I would expect my old friends to support me. So that doesn't concern me. I do not think that's a racial issue. I think I need to be in the community and hearing what the community's concerns are. And so we are doing that. We are working very hard to make sure that we are talking to everyone in the community as often as possible.
So as we wrap up here, I want you to tell us this. I mean, what would you say distinguishes you from Mr. Fioretti? What are voters getting with you that they're not getting with him?
Experience. I mean, that's an easy question, Sasha. I like to end on an easy one. The experience. I have spent the last 33 years on every side of the criminal justice system. I have been committed to making sure people get a fair shake in court for my entire career. And I will continue to do that as Cook County State's Attorney.
We've been speaking with former judge, prosecutor, and defense attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke. She is the Democratic candidate for Cook County State's Attorney. Thank you so much for making the time for us.
Thank you, Sasha. It was nice to meet you.